Bruchim Aboim B'Shem Irgun Shir Torah. I'd like to welcome everyone to today's shir from Rabbi Yakov Zev Smith Shlita on the halachas of the Rosh Hashana Musaf. We would like to have the great exclusive sponsoring shir called Irgun Shir Torah 718-851-865.
Everything we do is perfect, and certainly Rosh Hashana, the whole Avodas Hayom is Rosh Hashana. We certainly don't get angry at Rosh Hashana. I was thinking certainly the davening that we do has to be perfect. And I wanted today, Bez Hashem, to discuss the halachas of the Musaf Rosh Hashana. If you notice, it's the longest Shemoneh Esrei of the year. Unlike every Shemoneh Esrei of Shabbos and Yom Tov that has 7 brachas, the Musaf has 9 brachas, and it's even longer than the weekday Shemoneh Esrei with its 19 brachas. But more importantly than its length is the fact that halacha will see it's the Ikar Havodas Hayom. And Rav Ozna in Chelik Tes Kuf Chav Zayin was asked by a doctor who's on active duty and couldn't daven the entire davening. What's the one Shemoneh Esrei he should make time to daven? He says also a Yoledes, a woman had a baby, could only daven just one Shemoneh Esrei. So he's convinced that if you have to daven one Shemoneh Esrei, it should be the Musaf. Even though we know Shachris usually has precedence, but Rosh Hashana has the Malchis, Zechonis, and Sheifaros, and that has to be first. Now, I saw an even bigger chiddush, the Yisairis Tshuva Chelik Gimel Shin Tzadik, as an Enikol of Chasam Soifa. He says that even though women are potter from a regular Musaf, because it has Shaykhs to Karbonos, and women are B'chal Karbonos, it's a Zman Grama, and it's not worth mentioning. It's interesting, women usually are busy with family, but they come to shul, Shabbos or Yom Tov, and just as they're about to start, the tzibur is about to start Musaf, so the women say, oh, let me daven Musaf with the tzibur. That doesn't seem to be correct. If an Isha has time to daven one Shemoneh Esrei, Avada she should daven first Shachris. Because women are chayiv in Shachris. Musaf, according to many Shittish, they're potter. But what the Chiddush 3 was, the Yisairis Tshuva says, on Rosh Hashana, Nashim are chayiv in Musaf. Why? Because the Gemara says in Brachas Daf Chaf, why are Nashim chayiv in Tefillah? Because Tefillah is rachami and women need rachamim. No, the Musaf of Rosh Hashana is not karbonis. It's rachamim. It's bemis meyichya miyamas. Therefore, if an Isha comes late and they only have time to have one Tefillah, Avada should be Musaf. It reminds me of what we just spoke last week, the Tshuvas Min HaShemayim Siman Aleph, that says that even though women are potter from Tkiyah Shaifa, but somehow they had that feeling to Makabal as a Chayiv, because Shaifa is the Avodas Hayom. And now we see it's really the Musaf, the Malchis, Zechonis, V'Shaifaros, that it's really the Avodas Hayom. The question, of course, is, Ma Nishtana, what is so unique, what is so unusual about the Musaf, especially the Malchus, Zechonis, and Sheifaros, that it becomes mamash the Ikka of the Rosh Hashana. So we have to learn a Gemara in Rosh Hashana Daf Tezayin. As we'll see, it's the Yesod in Halacha, it's the Yesod of the whole Avodas Hayom in Rosh Hashana. Zok the Gemara, Ma Omer Torah Haviyu Omer BePesach. Why do you bring a korban Omer on Pesach? But Mesha Pesach Zman Tvua. Pesach is a time of Tvua. Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu, Yaviu lefanei Omer b'Pesach Kadesh Tizbarach lachem Tvua shebesados. Now is a time that we need Hatzlacha in our Panasa, in the growth of Tvua. You want Hatzlacha? Bring the Omer. Then the Gemara says, why do we bring a Shtei Alechem on Shavuos? Because you need Bracha in the Peres Ha'ila. Why do we have Nisach HaMayim on Sukkos? Because Sukkot is the season that we need rain, we need water. So if you bring Nisach HaMayim, you'll have a bracha in your water. So if you noticed, every Yom Tov we try to gain the bracha, the atzlacha of that season. Pesach is Tvua, Shavuos is Peres, Sukkot is Mayim. So the Avodas Hayom of the Yom Tov is to gain access to the bracha of that particular season. Then the Gemara says, and what about Rosh Hashana? Imru lefanei Rosh Hashana Malchis Zechonis V'Sheifaros. The Bel says Sheifaros, but of course the word is Sheifaros. Malchis Zechonis V'Sheifaros. Why? Malchi is kadesh tamlichuni aleichem. Zechroina is kadesh yalo zechroinechem lefani letoiva. Ubameh b'shoifa. So right away we see very clearly that this is not only the avodah sayam Rosh Hashana, but Malchi Zechroinus is the hatzlocha, is the bracha, is the way to the access miyichya miyamas in these days. But we see how vital the Malchi Zechroinus is, because as we all know, midaraisa there's a mitzvah, an independent mitzvah of Tchiyah Shofar. If a person can't daven, he's allowed to blow shofar. But Zok the Mishnah later in the Aflamed Beis in Masechta Rosh Hashana, there's a Takanas Chazal, there's a mitzvah d'Rabbanan that you blow shofar during the Shmoneh Esrei. We'll soon see whether it's the Shmoneh Esrei or Chazar Hashatz. But as the Mishnah say, you koilel malchiyos in the kedusha, in the bracha of kedushas hayom. Then you blow again by zechroinos, and you blow again by shefaros. So 3 times in Shmoneh Esrei, together with malchi, zechroinos, and shefaros, you have to blow shofar. So now we see that not only is malchi, zechroinos, and shefaros part of the davening, but as we'll see lahalacha, it becomes part of shofar, or shofar becomes part of that. The schus for a new year is in the malchiyas, zichronos, and shefaros. Of course, we might wonder, and this really brings us to an important appreciation of this halacha, if we say that you added 3 brachas of Rosh Hashana, malchiyas, zichronos, and shefaros. So let's make this the simple mathematics. Every Yom Tov has 7 brachas. 7 plus 3 is 10. So why did we say that Rosh Hashanah has 9? The answer is Pashut. We put the first bracha of Malchiyos together with Kedushas Hayom. Instead of saying Mekadosh Yisrael V'Yom HaZikaron and then we start Malchiyos, no. We put Malchiyos in the bracha of Kedushas Hashem. Now that needs a big hezbollah. Because the Gemara says in Brachas Daf Mem Tes, you never make 2 chasimis in one bracha. So why do we end the bracha Melech HaKol Haaretz, Mekadosh Yisrael V'Yom HaZikaron? Why don't you make one bracha for Kedushas Hayom, and then you could start with Malchiyos? What also needs hezbollah, the Gemara makes a very shocking statement. If someone blows shofar, or listen to shofar, Mal ani aleichem ki lakaretem atzvechem lefanei. The Baruch Shalom says it's like you made yourself an akedas Yitzchak. I always never understood this. It's not such a hard mitzvah, shofar. Especially there's no mitzvah to blow. The mitzvah is to listen. In America, it's easy listening. Pretty easy to listen. And by listening to shofar, you become an akedas Yitzchak, the epitome of Mesiras Nefesh. Then the Gemara continues, and it seems to be a package. First Malchi Zechronos Shefaros, then Akedas Yitzchak, then the Gemara is the famous Gemara, why do we blow shofar in Miyushav and Me'omid? La'arveiv HaSatan, to confuse the Satan. So of course the obvious kasha is every year the Satan falls for the same trick. I mean, the Satan is a very kluger, he has the most followers in the entire world, he's the biggest leader. He doesn't fall for the same trick every year. And then when you learn the end of the Gemara, of this seemingly unrelated Gemara, but I think it's a big hemshach, Kol shana she'ein toikin b'tchilasa, maran la b'soifa. If you don't blow shofar or Shoshana, I don't want to say, well, it's going to be a very bad year. So the obvious question is, okay, if you don't blow shofar, you miss the mitzvah deraisa. But it doesn't say that if you don't take lulav and esrog on Sukkot, it's going to be a bad year. What's the shaykhis between shofar and a good year? And also the obvious kasha, Rosh Hashanah Shechal B'Shabbos, we don't blow shofar. What's going to be with our year? So I think if you get a basic understanding of what it means, Malchus, Zechronos, and Shefaros, I think the whole Gemara has such a beautiful hemshach. Again, Malchus, Zechronos, Shefaros has so much oimik to it, omuk miyachilenu. But on a very simple level, what's negeya for us practically on Thursday and Friday, Aboleinu L'Toiva, Malchias simply means Kabbalas Oil Malchus Shemayim. You look at the Nusach, today's the Rebbeinu Shalom's Kaviyachal coronation, Hayoim Haras Oilam, but Ein Melech B'Layam. We are what makes the Rebbeinu Shalom Malchus, so meaningful. You look at the first words of Malchus, Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adoin HaKol. Spitz Malchus is that a Yid says, Ano Abda de Kutshe Berichu. Or like if Soslanta used to say, and a person could say Krishna, and he moves his head in all the directions, the four directions of the world, up and down. He's Mamach HaKadosh Baruch Hu all over, and he's Meirich and Echad. But he forgot the Mamach HaKadosh Baruch Hu on himself. Tam Imru lefanai, me and you say in front of me. That's Malchus. And the emphasis, you see it in halacha. And imagine a person is really disconnected from these days. Rahman al-Islam. He goes through the 10 days of Semei Tshuva, Salif Roshana. He forgot every single time, Zachenu, Michamoicha, B'Sefer Chaim. He forgot every Shemay Esrei to add the 4 additions. Was he Yaitza? We know, the halacha is a Yaitza. Then you could take a person who davened a 2-hour-long Musaf. And he said every word with Kavana, but he made one tiny mistake. Instead of concluding Baruch Atah Hashem, HaMelech HaKadosh, he said Hakel HaKadosh. Was he Yaitza? No doubt he's not Yaitza. What's wrong with Hakel HaKadosh? Isn't it schlecht? We say it in 11.5 months a year. But on Rosh Hashanah, now, the most important word is HaMelech. One word HaMelech, you have to start over. That's Malchus. That's the bracha of Malchus. Then we move on to Zechronis. What does Zechronis mean? So you look at the nusach of the bracha. Ata zoicha masayim, ufoikid kol yitzurei kedem, ein shikha lefnei chizich vaydecha, hakol goli v'yadua lefanecha. On the Rebbeinu Shalom screen, every machshava, diba, ma'isa is there. That's Yom Hadin. Every machshava that we say, every diba that we have, that brings the next words in the Zechronos. Al Medinas ba'yayama, Ezel ha'cherev, Ezel ha'shalom, Uvriyas ba'yifakedu, Miloi nifkad, Machshavois adam b'sach b'loisav. Malchios dictates that there's Zechronos. Until recently, a person had to have Amunah to believe that the Rebbeinu Shalom remembers every single machshava, diba, and ma'isa. But today, you could have a computer chip. I'm not up to date, but you could have a tiny little computer chip that has billions of bits of information. Do you understand that? I don't, but it's real. It's there. The Rebbeinu Shalom Kaviyachol is a lot greater than just a computer chip. So that's basically Zechronos. Everything we do is on record. But there's a different part of Zechronos, like we say in the Nusach, Zochenu b'zikaron toiv lefanecha. By Borei Olam, a second of a zikaron toiv is our hatzlacha. Our hatzlacha is Zochenu b'zikaron toiv lefanecha. By Yiskel Ekim as Noach, that's why Noach was saved. If we use the days properly of Malchus, then b'zoicha Zochenu b'bekudas Yeshua v'rachamim. And it's a Seder. And therefore you really understand why Pesach, it's Tvua, is our bracha, Sukkot is Nisach HaMayim, and Rosh Hashanah, our Hatzlacha, the Miyichya Rosh Hashanah is Malchias and Zechronos. But what's the third part? And it's very interesting, the Gemara does not say, Imru lefanai sheifarais. The Gemara says, Imru Malchias, Imru Zechronos, Uvameh b'sheifa. Like sheifa is some heicha timtza. So the Ritva in that Gemara explains, how are you able to be Mamlech HaKadosh Baruch Hu? How are you able to have Zechrone L'Toiva? With Shaifa. Shaifa is always symbolic of Malchus. So Shaifa activates Malchus. But the emes is it's probably more practical. Famous Rambam in Hilchos Tshuva Perek Gimel Lachadalid, even though Tchiyah Shaifa is Exeris Akasav, there's a very significant, a very timely remez. Uri Yishein Mishinaschem Veikitzu Nirdam Mirdaschem Vechipsu B'Maseichem. Shaifa, the piercing cry of Shaifa, is a cry of tshuva. Is a cry of wake up. Is a cry that Miloi Nifkad Kayom Hazeh. And I want to share with you the Heilige Wert of the Shloach Kodesh in the new print. It's Heilige Gimel Kuf Samaches onward. He has pages to explain Kavanas Arizal in Tkiya Shaifa. Now, if I looked at it, I got dizzy. I mean, you see Tzirufei Oisis, that I can't explain, I can't understand it. But in page Kuf Samach Gimel, earlier, he says a very simple Kavana that we should think about when we hear Shaifa. And I think it really gives us a feeling of connecting with the Tkiya Shaifa. Just like in Gashmias, there's sickness, in Ruchni there's also sickness. But the good news is there's a guaranteed refuah. Zok Tishla HaKadosh. Tkiya is a very smooth, straight Tkiya. Straight sound. Like the Pasuk says in Keheles, Asa lekim esa adam yasher. The Bereshit made us all straight, pure. And Neshama tahira. But then the trouble came when we started doing a little shvarim. Shvarim is broken. Shvarim is averis. And we really deteriorate until it's trua. Trua is crying. Why are we crying? Because chet brings misa rachman al-itzlan. And now it's a hopeless situation. From tkiya, ikevar, shvarim, and now trua we're holding by misa. But Eid is never hopeless. Eid has tshuva. Zok Tishla, tshuva has the ability to take trua and turn it back to tkiya. Straight. Back to Yashris. So tkiya, shvarim, teruah, we're at rock bottom, but this tkiya. And the emphasis is, I think, the biggest moifis of them all, the koyach of tshuva. Imagine a person's in a wild mood and he takes a sack of stones, he goes in front of a big apartment building and throws it, a stone through every window, he smashes every last window. It's crazy. They call the police, they handcuff him, they approach him with caution. As they're taking him to jail, he goes, no, leave me alone. I'm sorry. I have charata. Akabal ala asa. I'll never do it again. So they'll tell him, you'll have plenty of time to have, remorse in jail. If you know how to somehow take the stones and throw it again and fix the windows, no, we'll talk about it. But, you did so much damage, you're not going anywhere. We know what chet does. Nefesh HaChaim and Perigal of Shar Daled says that the cosmic effect that a person's chet does on the world. So how does tshuva help? I'm sorry, I won't do it again. What about churbanos? But that's the koyach of tshuva. From shvarm to ruah becomes a tkiya. I don't want to be Musaf Gareya, but if we're allowed to add, and we end the whole seder with a tkiya gedola. What's that? Because if someone does an emes tshuva from zdainais, nasa to zechuyais. So he's even bigger and better than he was originally. He started out yasha, and now he's a tkiya gedola. That's the function of tshuva. From shvarim to ruah, from misa, he becomes a tkiya gedola. But a person has to hear the message of shayfa. Like the Zohar Kodesh, tied to the pasuk in Tehillim, Ashrei Ya'am Yoidei Sruah. It doesn't say Shoymei Sruah or Toikei Trua. Yoidei Trua, they know the secret of shayfa. They understand that shayfa is a call of tshuva. That's the pshat b'ameh b'shayfa. How does a person change? How does a person connect to the days? How does a person magnify and make Malchus great, Zechreinas great? And that's tshuva. So I was thinking, then you see the hemshich of the Gemara. I once saw in the Vikuach of the Ramban. The Great Ramban was forced to debate with the clergy of the church. And he recorded his response. Obviously it was Divrei Kim Chayim. And at one point they must have asked him a very painful question. You're busy with your service to your God. Of what value is it? We know the truth. You know the truth. There was a time with the Beis Hamikdash. There were karbanos. Now you have no karbanos, no Beis Hamikdash. What are you busy with avoid if it's really meaningless? So the Ramban adds something that always moves me. He says, when I serve Hashem in Golus, with all the difficulty of Golus, and he oisa oila l'leikim migufi. You don't understand. In the Beis Hamikdash, they were makriv karbanos, animals. Okay, that's okay. But today I am the carbon, Dr. Ramban. My life, I'm a carbon. What's better than an animal as a carbon? A human carbon, a person that gives of himself. Now, what's a bigger carbon than like those beautiful words of the Kuzari, the Vavi Mishkeneva, Evna, Ula Karban Akriv, Es Nafshi Hayechida. The biggest carbon is a person. How does a person make himself into a carbon? If he changes. Tshuva is the greatest carbon. He takes himself and he changes. He got used to something, Hergel Nasa Teva, and Nasa Keheta, Nasa Mitzvah, he gets used to it, becomes a mitzvah, and he changes. You look in the Gemara Sanhedrin, Mem Gimel Amid Beis, Kol Hazeveach Es Yitzray, Umizvad Alav, Kilu Kibdei HaKadosh Baruch Hu B'Shnei Alamim. If someone shechs Yetzirah, he gave kavod to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in both worlds. What does that mean, Zeveach Es Yitzray? Can anybody shech the Yetzirah? Zok Rashi, he does tshuva. Tshuva is the greatest carbon that a person could give. He's changing himself. Now I once saw all the Rishonim ask in the beginning of Yoina, Perigal of Pasuk Tezvav, after the storm abated, Vayizbechu Zevach L'Hashem. They brought karbanis. So Rashi, Ebenezer, all ask, karbanis on a boat? Where'd they have animals from? How did they bring karbanis? So Rabbeinu B'chai and Kadakemach and Kippurim on this pasuk says another dikipshat. They didn't have animals. The carbon was shviras hayetz v'achnos halev. The carbon was that they changed. They did tshuva. So I was thinking maybe that's the pshat. After the Gemara says Bameh b'shayfa, how does a person have malchis zechaynos if he does tshuva? He takes shvarim teruah and turns it into a tkiyah gedayla. So the Gemara, if someone is mekayim the mitzvah of shayfa, kilu akaratem etz atzmechem lefanai, he becomes the akedas Yitzchak. And it's so meduyik because Yitzchak really didn't give his life at the end. He was willing to. It was the devotion. It was the Mesiras Nefesh. Akedas Yitzchak is symbolic of Mesiras Nefesh. If someone changes himself on these days, he uses the shayfa to change, he becomes Akedas Yitzchak. It's one and the same. Then you learn the hemshech of the Gemara. Because the oldest question, as I mentioned earlier, we blow shayfa, here's the meyushiv, la'arva v'satan, to fool the satan. I mean, how many years does a satan fall for the same trick? So I think maybe that's why the Ran, on our Gemara, learns a different shat. La'arva satan, not like Rashi that learns that he sees Chavivus and Mitzvah, the Toises, he thinks that this is the Shayfa Mashiach. The Ran learns Pirish Lachnias Yeitza, he's scaring his own Yetzahara. K'dichsiv em yidkish itaka Shayfa be'ir v'amla yachradu. The Satan Haina Yetzahara. Mavaldik. We're blowing Shayfa to scare our personal Yetzahara. There's a Yetzahara in me that says, you can't change. You can't add more time in learning. You can't stop talking Lashon Hara. You're not a Chafetz Chaim. Come on. Be realistic. The Koil Shayfa cries out to my Yetzahara, I could change. I could be Zeveach as Yitzray. I could become a Kedas Yitzchak. Oy bazoi, this is one hemshech. Look at the opportunity of Shayfa. A person could blow Shayfa, he could do tshuva, he could bring Malchias, he could be Zoichet Zechroinos, he could become Akedas Yitzchak. And therefore the hemshech is so beautiful at the end of the Gemara. If Rosh Hashanah comes and a person doesn't blow Shayfa, he's not focused on the benefit of Shayfa, he's not thinking of tshuva, Maran La B'Sayfa. He has the greatest sanega, he has a Shayfa. And he doesn't blow Shayfa Rosh Hashanah, that's a very bad year. It's not just the bittul mitzvah like the missing of lulav. This is the Bameh B'Shayf. This is the way a person accesses the whole brach of the days. Oy Bazai is very pashut. Rosh Hashanah Shechal B'Shabbos, there is no Shayfa. So we do tshuva without the Shayfa. But in a regular year you have the opportunity to blow Shayfa. That starts the whole process to turn the shvarm through into a ktiyah gedoyla, and you don't do it. Oy is bitter. Oy is the person hopeless. So now you think about it, the whole Amid HaGemara is one hemshah. The schus of Rosh Hashanah is tam lichunim. Bameh b'shayfa. If you blow shayfa, or you're yoydei through, or you hear the message of shayfa, kilu akaratem. Because the shayfa is la'arba b'satan. And that's why the shofar, if not that you blow shofar, chas v'sholem, kol shana she'ein toikim b'tchilasai, is a very bitter seif. You know, it's Yadua, Rabbeinu Sadia Goyen had 10 reasons why we blow shofar. Today all the Machzorim quote the reasons. If you look at the reasons, you'll see either they're Malchiyos reasons, Zichrayos, or Shofaros. But one thing I could say, and this I saw the Poskim say this, what should a person, which of the 10 should a person be thinking, B'shas Tchiyas Shofar? None of them. What's the kavanah you have B'shas Tchiyas Shofar? Rachmana, Ama, Itka. But if there's any kavanah that we could add to the basic kavanah, it's Bameh B'Shofar. Shofar is the koyach that changes. That brings out the best of the Malchiyas and Zichrayos. So now that I think we see the beauty of this Gemara, let's try to apply it more specifically. We began with a very big kasha, halacha shayla. Every bracha only has one chasima, so how come Rosh Hashana we combine Malchiyos and Kedushas Hayom? We should make one, first we should say Mekadosh Yisrael V'yam HaZikaron, and then we should have a separate bracha of Malchiyos. Why is there 9? It should be 10. So Reb Chaim Briska, Pashta Teretz. Malchiyos is not a separate bracha. Malchiyos is the etzem Kedushas Hayom. Just like Pesach is Chag HaMatzos, and Sukkot is Chag HaSukkos, Rosh Hashanah is Chag HaMalchiyos. So when you say together, Malchiyos, Melech HaKol Haaretz, and Mekadosh V'yam HaZikaron, it's not 2 chasimas, it's 1. Because the essence of Kedushas Hayom Rosh Hashanah is Melech HaKol Haaretz. In fact, Reb Chaim is quoted as saying, if someone got a little famished, and he finished the end of the bracha of Malchiyos, and he said, Baruch Atah Hashem, Mekadosh Yisrael V'yam HaZikaron. He accidentally forgot to say Melech HaKol Haaretz. So the emphasis, the Sharet Shuv and Tov Kuf Pei Beis, Sifkat Nei, the Matafraim Yotes, the Chayodim Chav Ches Zayin, all say, as long as he mentioned Malchis in the bulk of the bracha, he yaitza. But Reb Chaim, and I saw Reb Chatzkel Rotz Zayin Gezund, and the Tshuvas, Emet Tshuva, Gimel Mem Vav, Rivers Ephraim, Zayin, Kuf Lam Zayin, all mechaven to this, they say no. Since Melech HaKol Haaretz is part of the Etzem Chasima, you left out part of the Chasima. So that's how wide it goes, that the Itzumai Shel Yom and Rosh Hashanah is Melech HaKol Haaretz. Okay, if someone forgot it, Chatzkel Zayin says maybe he shouldn't repeat the Shemona Esrei because somebody makilim. But the Yisod HaDavar is that Malchus Shamayim, that one word Melech, is the ikka of a long ganzer Musaf Shemona Esrei. I saw the Magen Avram in the end of Kuf Tzad the Gimel has a shaila. Let's say someone mixed up the order. For some reason he said Zechronis and then Malchiyos. So this is not as bad as the first shaila because he said every word. Zog the Magen Avram, no, you have to have a Seder. If you mix up the Seder, you're not Yoitza. What's shot? What's wrong if Zechronis goes first? I saw in the Tshuva Mishnah Scher, Simen Kuf Nun Hey, he says it's Pashat. Without Malchiyos, there's no start. Zechronis only comes after your Mamach HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If you don't connect to Malchus Shamayim, what is Zechronis all about? Yom Adin of whom? It has to be first Malchiyos and then the Zechronis. And he says that's why it's Kedai, before we, in Shemona Esrei, at least the Machshava, to say, Hinei Muchan and Mezuman, some type of Hachana, when you begin Malchiyos Zechronis v'Shofar, he says, you should be mekabelet out atzoiv kol adoyros because the dibur is ma'orim. And he says, remember that's as I state in Shorosh Avoda, before you start Malchiyos Zechronis Shofaris and Shemona Esrei, to have kavanah that this is the ikar of the day. Consider the next question, which I think now we could appreciate, which really is a big sugya, but very basically, we see a very different minhagim regarding Tkiyah Shofar during the Shemona Esrei. Some blow during the Lachash, some blow only by Chaz Hashatz. What's the pshat? So one thing is clear, the Mishnah in the Aflamed Beis we mentioned earlier says Beferish on Rosh Hashanah, Shofar is very much connected to Shemona Esrei. Even though it's an independent mitzvah, but midirabanan, there's a chiyuv to blow shofar. together with Malchi Zechrein is the Sheifaris. In Svara, it would make sense that since it's part of Shmoin Esra, quote unquote, what's the real Shmoin Esra? The Lachash. And that's why, as early as the Aruch and other Rishonim say beferish, that the minig was that they blew shofar during the Lachash and the Chazar. I saw Reb Chaim, in quoted the Chuvas Hanagas, Chelek Daled, Amar Taf Mem Beis, he was Meshabeach the minig of Nusach Svard. Even though Reb Chaim himself, Brisker Daven Ashkan, they didn't blow during the Lachash. But Reb Chaim was Meshabeach the minig of Nusach Svard, because that's more meduyik. I saw a letter from Rabbi Zalman Meltzer. There was, I guess, a yeshiva that had some that daven Nusach Svard, some daven Nusach Ashkenaz. What should they do on Rosh Hashana? Blow during the Kiyah, during the Lachash, only Chazar Shatz. B'zam said, Agam, I am from Anshe Lita, that we don't blow during the Kiyas, during the Lachash. But the more correct minik seems to be blowing during the Lachash. So if you have people doing that, you don't lose, that's what you should do. So certainly in Halacha, it would stem to put it in the Lachash. Besides that, Al Pi Kabbalah, there's certainly inyanim to blow during the Shemay Nesra. You'll wonder, what about Hefsik? In the middle of Shemay Nesra, I'm blowing shofar. So the emphasis of the Kasha is much stronger. The question is, a person is davening a regular Shemay Nesra on a Tuesday morning, and he's a little behind, and the Tzibah is already saying Kedusha. Now, saying Kedusha is a mitzvah deraisa, Dashti b'serf b'nei Yisrael. Now, what should I do? I'm davening Shemay Nesra. So Rashi says, no problem, stop Shemay Nesra, listen to the Shat say it, and b'yoyta Shemaya Ka'oina. So Toises is Brachas Chafalach Mabeis, what do you mean? If you tell me Shemaya Ka'oina Yoytza, so it's a hefsik. So it's Machlekes Rashi with Toises, if Shemaya Ka'oina is a hefsik. The Mechaba Paskins, that the minig is like Rashi, Shemaya Ka'oina is okay, not a hefsik. It's only a minig. Rabbi Pesach Frank in the Har Tzvi has a shaila, this very negating yeshiva or a camp. The tzibah is making havdalah, and one person is still davening ma'ariv. Could he stop the Shemay Nesra, hear havdalah, and go back? Zok the Har Tzvi, no, because it's a suffix hefsek. According to Tais, it's a hefsek. Kedusha we do. We have no choice. So Shemay Ka'oin is not so posh. It's not a hefsek. So I saw in the Igros Moshe, Aleph Kofayin Gimel, Rab David Zayin Gezund asked his father, Rab Moshe, why don't Nusach Svar blow shofar during Shemay Nesra? Why aren't you chayshish for Shitas Toises that Shemay Ka'oin is a hefsek? I mean, you could do it during the Chazara, like a big part of Klal Yisrael. So Rab Moshe says, first of all, it's not such a kasha, because if it's part of Shemay Nesra, it's not a hefsek. That's part of Shemay Nesra. But Rab Moshe is a much more gesund teretz. If you have to have Shemeya Ka'oina, like by Kedusha, like we said, by Havdalah, then Shemeya Ka'oina could be a hefsek. But by Tkiyah Shofar, the mitzvah is not Tkiyah. The mitzvah is L'shmayish Kol Shofar. You don't have to have Shemeya Ka'oina. If it's not Shemeya Ka'oina, you don't need, there's no concern of hefsek. So that's why Lamaisa, the Minik Svard, Nusach Svard I should say, blows during the Shemay Nesra, there's no hefsek. Now, the only real concern, which is why Nusach Ashkenaz don't blow during the Shemay Nesra, is that it's mevalbal the tefillah. A person's davening, they might start blowing, he might be ahead. What always I worried about, for those who daven a little quicker than the tzibur, he got till the end of the bracha, he's waiting for tkiyas. What do you do at that moment when you're waiting, or moments? You know, to take out a Rashba is a nice idea. But now you're Lefnei HaMelech, you can't learn in Mil Shemay Nesra. You certainly can't battle, you certainly can't daydream. So I asked the Rambam Talmidei Chachamim, well, you have to maybe think about the Tefillah, think about his Soiris and his Reimamus. So unless you have a control of your mind and you could focus, no, that's an issue. Maybe daven a little slower. In fact, some say continue going, but stam in Mil Shemay Nesra to make a pause and do nothing, Lefnei HaMelech Mamish, you're not by Imul Kainit Tzor, Imul Shemay Nesra. So this could be one of the problems why Nusach, the Nusach Svard, actually puts it in the Nusach Ashkenaz, puts it in the Chazar Sashatz. But be that as it may, whatever your minig is, one thing is certain: all agree that the Tkiyas has to connect to a Shemay Nesra, whether it's the Lachash or the Chazara. But here where we see, as we often do, the importance of Chazaras Hashatz. The Gemara says you have to say it in Shemay Nesra. What's the Ashkenaz doing it? The answer is Chazaras Hashatz is also important. I know the Kaf HaChaim in the beginning of Kuf Chadal quotes the Ariyah Kodesh that says that we think the simple reason for Chazaras Hashatz is the Ein Bekiyim, but then today we wouldn't do it. Zok Arizal that Be'emes the Shemay Nesra has two parts, the Lachash and then you have the Chazaras Hashatz. The Ikka Koyach of the Lachash is by listening to Chazaras Hashatz. So the Arizal with his finger on the place would follow Chazaras Hashatz. We was there to watch Rav Moshe Dav. Rav Moshe was not only the Poisik Ador, the Masmid Ador, and he found time to keep his finger on the place and listen to Chazaras Hashatz. Today there are many people that only learn during Chazaras Hashatz. I'm not sure exactly why. That's when the main learning is. But the Arizal says that the main Shemay Nesra is the Chazaras Hashatz. The guy tied to the Gemara in Brachas in Roy Adam she'ain tefillah in the Shmas yachzav yispalo daven again. What if daven again? Is that the guy? Yeah. Listen to Chazaras Hashatz. If you listen to Chazaras Hashatz, then your tefillah goes upward. I always give a mashal. Today we have the neflois of a spaceship. Spaceship goes into space and records all the information. But it couldn't get there without a rocket ship. The rocket ship what gets it up into space. Now what's more important? Not that the spaceship is more important. That's gathering all the data. But without the rocket ship, the spaceship is going nowhere. The Chazaras Hashatz is the rocket ship that gets the spaceship, the Shemay Nesra, upward. And we see it on Rosh Hashana even more pronounced. Because Rosh Hashana all agree that the Tkiyos are part of the Shemay Nesra, i.e. whether it's Lachash and Chazara or only Chazaras Hashatz. But the Chazaras Hashatz plays a very crucial role in our Hatzlacha. It's the Chazaras Hashatz that connects to the Malchus of Chaydes Shefaris. In fact, there's a well-known Chiddush of the Brisker Reb, it's quoted in the New Grach Salashas in Rosh Hashanah Chav Chesed Days, that if someone doesn't follow Chazaras Hashatz, even though he listens to all the Tekiyas, he was not yoitza the mitzvah of Tchiyas al Seder. Since Chazal were Masakin to blow shofar together with Chazaras Hashatz, you have to hear Chazaras Hashatz. And the Brisker Reb went to the extent to say, don't say Amen on the end of the bracha until you hear the last syllable, the last letters of the bracha. If you miss even part of Chazaras Hashatz up the Brisker Reb, you're not yoitza Tchiyas al Seder. In fact, the minig in Brisk was that they didn't start Chazaras Hashatz until every last person finished Shemay Nesra. Because if you don't hear Chazaras Hashatz, you're not yoytze the mitzvah d'Rabbanan of Tchiyah al Seder. Now, I don't know how they would do in today's yeshivas. It's going to have to wait a long time. But this is the minig of the Brisker Reb. The point is, the Chazaras Hashatz on Rosh Hashanah, really the whole year is important, but Rosh Hashanah we see the extreme importance. I just saw the Sefer Yosef Oimitz. This goes back around 500 years ago. In Siman Tov Sof Kuf Samach Zayin. And he's mamish speaking to us in our times. So Oilam Toyim, he says, when they say Piyutam Yom Neroyim, people stand al Ragleim, Be'emu V'yira, mamish, they're saying a piyut. And it comes to Chazaras Hashatz, they talk, they sit down, and they make the Ikka Tafel, talk a Tafel Ikka. Ki say that tefillah chiyav gomor to hear be'emo v'yira Chazaras Hashatz. Chazaras Hashatz the whole year is our koyach, our rocket ship, especially in Rosh Hashanah. According to the Brisker Reb, if someone is davening Shemay Nesra, let's say davening Svark, and he's holding in the middle of the bracha Malchus, and they're blowing the next set for Zechrainos or Shefarais, he might not be Yaitza, the mitzvah d'Rabbanan al Seder. But I did see the Minchas Yitzchak Chelik Dal Memches quotes the Abnei Nezer in the Chuvas Taf Memhei, that's made that when he was in Kutsk, said the Kutzka davened long Shemay Nesra, and he was always behind. The bigger Chiddush, the Chiddush Harim, was in the middle of the Lachash, and they were already blowing in the Chazar Sashatz. So he says, obviously, they weren't chayshish for this chum of the Beskira, that's what the Chazar points out. Because the word, there has to be a Chazar Sashatz. The tzibah has to have a Chazar Sashatz, and the key has to blow Chazar Sashatz. But not that I have to be holding together with Chazar Sashatz. Chazon Ish in Kuf Lamed Zayin Daled already says this, that there has to be a tkiyah with Chazar Sashatz, not that I have to be holding exactly with Chazar Sashatz. And it seems the minig ha'olam is not to be chayshish, to hurry up the Shemay Nesser if you're davening slowly. So wherever you're holding, stop and listen to the tkiyas. And then when you get to Hayem Ha'olam, you can say it. People ask, can I say it then? It has nothing to do with the tkiyas. We even say it on Shabbos. When you get to that, you can say Hayem Ha'olam. But the point is that all agree that the actual Chazoras Hashatz is integral to the Avodas Hayom. And that's taka why it's taka one of the most beautiful, inspiring minhagim that we had, the minig Yisrael Kadosh, that we don't talk from the beginning of Tkiyah Shayf for the Meyushiv until the end of Chazar Sashatz, the last Tkiyah. Why? Because really you can be yaitze with 30 tkiyas, but we want to make it one package. The bracha should go on the whole tkiyas, because the Meyushiv, the Ma'omid, we don't talk until the end of Chazar Sashatz. And people ask Shailas, can I say Ashiyotza during Musaf Rosh Hashana? Maybe it's a hefsek. The answer is you're allowed to, because it's not worse than Psukkah de Zimri, you're allowed to say Ashiyotza. Can you say Tehillim? Of course, not during Chazar Sashatz, but when there's a singing, so you're allowed to say Tehillim. Learning is already an issue. Can you learn a Gemara? Speaking out, better be learn with hearer. I saw Rabbi Shlomo Zalman in the Alicha Shlomo. He says that there's some made an announcement not to answer Baruch Hu Baruch Shemai during Chazar Sashatz. Why? Because since it's not really a chiyuv, maybe it's a hefsek. So Zalman was very unhappy with that. He says hefsek is talking unnecessarily, but davening not a hefsek. You're allowed to say actually, you're allowed to say Tehillim, you're allowed to sing with the chazan. So Baruch Hu V'Shmai is part of davening. But one thing which is really beautiful, Klal Yisrael for hours don't talk. The Pam used to say, Ein lecha adam she'ein lo isha. He says, Rosh Hashanah, we go hours without talking during Chazar Sashatz. So why can we do it on a regular morning? Why can we go the 5 minutes not to talk during Chazar Sashatz? We do Rosh Hashanah hours, and people can't stop talking? How do you do Rosh Hashanah? So that's certainly the beauty of it, because we look at it like one package. We move on now to the second part, the Aleinu that we say in the Musaf. So let me tell you, Aleinu is very underappreciated. I'm almost afraid to say this, but it's the truth. Aleinu is an at-risk tefillah. You know, you look at the Mishnah Berurah, he quotes in the Maggid Mishnah, Kuf Lamed Beis Ches in Mishnah Berurah. Ve'ein V'yira, Ki Kol Tzva Shemayim Shaimim. When we see Aleinu, the whole Shemayim stops. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Oimrim Pamalya Shemayla V'kulam Oinim V'oimrim Asher Yom Shekach Aloi. What Aleinu is, who composed Aleinu? Very prominent author, Yeshua. In fact, he has his signature in Aleinu. His real name was Hoshea, as we know. Psukim are his name backwards. Aleinu is an ayin, Shaloi Sam is a shin, Vanach Lukarim is the vav, and Hu Alekeinu is hey. So he alluded to his name, Hoshea, backwards in the beginning of Aleinu. Who composed Al Kei Nekava? That was Achan. After he did Tshuva, Al Kei Nekava is Achan. Just to give you an example of what Aleinu is all about. The original Nusach, which today they took out, they put it back in recent years, Shem Mishtachem Lehevel, we say Ularik, the original Nusach was Lehevel Vorik, Umispalim El Lo'el, Lo Yoshia. That was the original Nusach. Today it's a little different, but it's the same idea. So you look in the Kolbe, one of the Rishonim, in Simon Kuf Chabeis, he writes, Vorik Gematria, Lo'el Gematria. Now that's very teasing. Vorik is Gematria what? Lo'el is Gematria what? Doesn't say anything. There's Gematria, but doesn't say what it is. So the Ksois HaShulchan and Chavdalad Lamet, it's not as Chiddush, but he's Megala L'Soid. Obviously, they took out Shem Mishtachem Level Arik, the census took it out because it was very offensive to the Goyim. But if that was offensive, listen to this. If you think about it, Vorik is Gematria 316, which is exactly the Gematria of Yeshu, the misleader of a big part of the world. Lo'el Loi is the other Navi Sheker. We call Muhammad, but it's Mahmad, Memches Mem Dalid, is 92. Lo'el Loi is exactly 92. So in Shem Mishtachem Lehevel Varik Umispalim Le'el Loi, we have both misleaders, Tulit Sanus and Avodah Zarah, implicit in the words. Of course, the Rishonim couldn't write it because it was offensive. But that's really the Yisoid of Aleinu. And today it's become, Aleinu has become something like a Tfilas Haderech. As he's walking, as he's going, I saw the Chesed Alof, that was the Palayoy to Seif on Shulchan Aruch and Kuf Lamed Beis. He says, because it's so chashiv and Oim Rima Shel Oilam, you have to be careful to say B'Kavana. And people, he says, and people who become Tinik Abrech and Beis HaSeif, they say it then, or they don't say it at all. But how could you be Valas HaKodesh, something so chashiv like that? The fact that we stand, Zok Levush, why do we stand by Aleinu? Because it's Shevach HaGodol. The fact that it begins Malchus on Rosh Hashana, Aleinu Shebech is the beginning of Malchus, shows the importance. The fact that we opened our HaKodesh for Aleinu, because it's so important. Why do we bow when we say Aleinu? So that's Pashut. If you say Shem, Barachnu Koyim U'Mishtachavim, we don't want to be Merzik Shikra. Okay, I always wondered, Koyim means bowing your knees, Mishtach means bowing your body. When we say Baruch Atah, Baruch we make Kriya, and Mishtach we bow our body. So why by Aleinu do most people, they just bow like you do by Moedim? It would be more correct, the minig of many, that Aleinu they do like Shemon Esra. Vanachnu Koyim, they bow their knees, Mishtach they bow their body. But Daik V'Tishkach, many just make a bow. So probably the answer is it's not really a chiyuv to bow. It's not like Shemon Esra. It's just as merzik shikra. In fact, the minig hagra, Amshlam Zalman had this minig as well, that they didn't bow by Aleinu because you're being moisav ala kriyas. Okay, we do bow, but maybe there's no chiyuv gomer to bow koyim u'mishtachim. But be that as it may, twice a year we have a very unique shayla. We say Aleinu during a shtil Shemon Esra. It's only Rosh Hashana. Do you bow with Banachnu Koyim? The answer is Avada. If you're not supposed to be Merzik Shikra, certainly not Doivish Gomer, Yikal Negereina, you're davening, Mamish Melech Malchi Amlochim in middle of Shemon Esra. So, Avada during, when you, Aleinu, in the Lachash, Avada you bow. The way you bow regularly, you should bow by Aleinu. The Chiddush, which needs a little clarification, is what we do during Chazaras Hashatz of Aleinu. So the emes is, if we're trying to stimulate the real Avodah in Beis HaMikdash, then it should be what's referred to as Pishat Yadayim V'Raglayim. In Beis HaMikdash, Koyim Mishtachavim was a person literally flattened out. He got on his knees, and he spread his hands and spread his feet. He was literally flat on the ground. Our minig, at least the minig of many, is what's called kida. Gets on your knees, and then you put your forehead on the ground. Rather, some have the minig, they don't put their head on the ground at all. That the Magen Avraham says that was the minig. The Mat Ephraim says that was the minig. I think today the minig in many, many places, we fall on our knees, and our head touches the ground. That's called kida al apayim. So the Chayr Nishtinish Teher. Where that minig come from? So I never understood, but when I learned the sugya, the Meiser Rav in the Maluyim, in the new print, the Meiser Rav in Siman Reish Gimel, it's recorded there that the Goyin on Rosh Hashanah fell Pish Yadayim Raglayim. So they asked his Talmidim, why does the Goyin do that? So they responded very properly, the Kash is not on the Goyin, the Kash is on you. If it's Avodah and Beis HaMikdash, it should be Pish Yadayim Raglayim. So they said, so why don't we do it? So to me it was a very big chiddush, but what he said was, practically, there's no room to make Pishat Dayim V'Raglayim. You know, shuls of Rosh Hashanah are always packed to capacity. There's barely room to move. Imagine every year going to make Pishat Dayim V'Raglayim. You know, we can't expect Oyim dem Tzvuchim, Tzvufim, Mushtachim, Revachim. So, but the Goyin did kalach. Now, I don't know if they meant that the Goyin had an S, or simply he had a place in Zaybanon that he had more room. But the minig is practically, it's hard for every person to make Pish Yadayim V'Raglayim. Okay, so some taka make kida and some make just on the knees. When do you fall kairim? By the words kairim mishtachavim. The question is, when do you get up? So you'll ask people, they're not really sure. They get down, they do, they don't. So it's a very simple, a very simple psak. The Gemara in Brachos says the basic klal is, the Gemara quotes this pasuk as a remes, Hashem zoikeif kefufim. Whenever you bow, but before you say the Shem Hashem, you have to stand straight. By Hashem, then you have to be erect. Baruch, bow our knees. Ato, we bow our body. Then the Gemara, you straighten up like a nachash slowly, and then Hashem, you're erect. No, how do we apply that to Aleinu? So it's tricky. It's up to Mat Ephraim, Tafkov Tzadik Beis in the beginning. Vanachnu koyim mishtachim moedim lefnei. Afterward, lefnei, straighten up. Melech malchei amlachim, you're standing in the erect position. As I state in Mat Ephraim. Others, I saw this even before Mat Ephraim, the minig and Leigitz and Yosef, the minig that go before Mat Ephraim. He says the minig was to stay down until the words, before the words HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Lefnei melech malchim lachem, you're on the ground, and then you stand up. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you're straight. Why? I guess they felt that melech malchim lachem is not Shem Hashem, it's a description. Now, according to that, it's a little hard to understand. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is also not Shem Hashem, not the Zayin Shem, it's Nimchakim. But it seemed that that's more of Hashem's name than melech malchim lachem. But one thing is certain, we bow down and we say, and we feel, Vanachnu koyim u'mishtachavim u'moiden zei melech malchei amlachim. And I saw in the Orchos Rabbeinu Chelik Beis, Kuf Samach Tes, the Steipler B'Seif Yamav was very, very ill, had no koyach, but he was moisen nefesh, literally. He was moisen nefesh to full koyim. It's a very high point of the avodah. I just saw Rav Moshe Zechaynu Levracha, B'Seif Yamav, he was so weak, couldn't go to daven the yeshiva. They had him in his house, and the family begged him not to fall koyim. The Moshe says, how could I be in a tzibah that not fall? So he made up, he's in a daven outside, in a different room, so he won't fall. Okay. So the Olam fell koyim, they looked outside, where Moshe fell koyim outside. He was like, he couldn't control himself. You know, the Search Avodah says that on Rosh Hashana, you should lahachlis b'libay simcha atzuma ad ma'oid al shezachar lias bechelka v'garoli HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the simcha of Rosh Hashana. He says, Yom Kippur, the kriya is a tsar, that we don't have the avodah. But Rosh Hashanah, it should be the high point of our davening. In fact, I saw even some have the minute, even Noshim fall Kairim, but others say it's not sneistic, women should fall. Others say it's avoided for men and Noshim Azar. But the point is that the Ikka has to be the Kriya. That is the high point of the Aleinu. Grad, I should mention, today we should put back Shem Mishtachvim in Aleinu, certainly Rosh Hashanah. Rabbi Shulei Diskin said, if you don't say Rosh Hashanah, you're missing the Matbeya Shetavu Chachamim, or the state in Maiserav, in the Siddha Grab Hashem Shulei Diskin. But certainly to make sure to say it, at least in Rosh Hashanah, many people say it a whole year because now we're not scared of the censors. But basically to say it, the Tzlach warns us, it's an interesting thing, it's pretty shchiach. Someone says, V'anachnu, they look up, the Aron is still closed, they wait, then they open the Aron HaKodesh, Kayim Mishtachim. Zok the Tzlach in the drasha, that's Chira for Gidaf. Shem Mishtachim, Hevel Arik, V'amel Yeshia, V'anachnu, and then you pause. He says you have to say V'anachnu Kayim together. Never pause between V'anachnu and Kayim. If the Aron HaKodesh is still closed, wait till you open it, and then say V'anachnu Kayim. The last group of questions is important to mention, which is certainly a share for itself, but just very briefly, there's an Issa Daraisa to bow down onto a stone floor. So at the end of Parshas Bahar, Evan Maskele Sitnu Ba'artzechem. The Issa Daraisa is only if the two preconditions are met. Number one, it's a stone floor. And number two, if you make Pish Yadayim V'Raglayim. The Rabbanan, this is all the Ramah on the end of Kuf Lamed Aleph and Arachayim. But the Rabbanan, even if only one of them are present, it's an Issa Rabbanan. Let's say you have a stone floor, but you just make Kida, it's also with Rabbanan. Let's say you have you do Pishadayim Raglayim on a carpeting, Issa Rabbanan. Whatever you look at it, L'chayra, in our time there shouldn't be any problem at all. Who has a stone floor? So it's not so pashut. First of all, marble floor, marble, the Shevet HaLevi in Aleph Chav Gimel says marble is like stone. Granite is stone. Cement that has pebbles in it is stone. So we could have an Issa D'Rabbanan. But let's say you have a carpeting on the floor, and you don't do Pishadayim V'Raglayim, there's no Issa. But the minig, the minig Yisrael is to put down something on the floor, because you might have a stone floor, you might do Pishadayim V'Raglayim. So the minig is to put something down. What needs a little clarification is where do you put it down? There are Mosses, they used to put grass down. So we put paper towels. It's very distasteful. People bring newspapers into shul. You know, it doesn't belong in a shul the whole year, but not Rosh Hashanah. But anyhow, we have paper towels. The Rambam in Hilchos Avodah Zarah Vav Zayin says the minig is to put machzolois shaloi bein pneichem ubein ha'avonim. The real minig is to put it between your face and the ground. Why do today people put it by their knees? I imagine that pants shouldn't get dirty, which is important because you don't want to brush it off. That's a malacha on Shabbos or Yom Tov. But the real minig is to put it by your knees. By the face. Now, the knees, again, is a good idea, but the ik is by the face. Now, the Mishnah Berurah, and it quotes a Matafrayim, that if someone doesn't have a paper, he could put the talus between his forehead and the floor. It's a bezoyin. I guess the word is not a bezoyin, it's a mitzvah. But the best thing would be, if you do things right, you put the paper between your knees, between your face, between your forehead and the floor, and you fall kalacha. You know, someone asked me, in his family, they're very makbid never to go on your knees. You want to scrub the floor on Pesach, can't get on your knees. That has nothing to do with this issa. Because if you're on your knees, and there's no kida even, then it's not even Issa D'Rabbanan. This is rather a minig, an alta minig, a heilige minig, because this was the derech avodah zarah. Re'ezeh pella, you look in Shoftim, Perek Zayin, Pasuk Hey, the Bereshim told Gideon, weed out the oivdei avodah zarah from in your midst. How do I know who's oivdei avodah zarah? So the Pasuk says, tell them to drink water by the brook. Whoever gets on his knees, Sakrashi, you know, is the oivdei avodah zarah. Because the derech was, oivdei avodah zarah got on their knees. So that's why Yidna Makbub has nothing to do with this Issa. There is no Issa. Forget. And if you do put down a paper under your knees, there's still a problem if that's Oived Avodah Zarah. So basically the point is that the minig is to be careful to have something Ikka on the forehead, the feet as well. But one thing I will say, what we could take from Rosh Hashanah to a whole year is three important lessons. First of all, the importance of Chazaras Hashatz, how important it is a whole year, no difference, Rosh Hashanah a whole year, not to talk with Chazaras Hashatz, but also the unusual importance of Aleinu. Aleinu is certainly that's the high point of a davening and should be treated as such. One more question I think we have to explain is the obvious question. So much about Malchis, Zechraynis, and Shayfarais, but what about Yom Adin? Zechraynis is miyichya miyamis, milay nifkan. How could I not daven for myself? You look in the Tefillah, the ganze Rosh Hashanah kamat, except for some piyut, there's no mention of anything about Bani Chayim Ezoyin. But I saw, and I would recommend if you have a chance, before Rosh Hashanah or on Rosh Hashanah, it will give you a tremendous hashkafa, tremendous perspective. In the Siddur HaGra, in the Psicha of Tefillah Rosh Hashanah, ask the kasha much stronger. We know the avodah of Aseres Yemei Tshuva, which begins with Rosh Hashanah, is tshuva. How come there's no vidui? How come there's no talk about tshuva in the davening? How come there's no achet in Rosh Hashanah davening? This is the time that we have to ask mechila. So his yisoid, which is so practical in the avodas of Rosh Hashanah, is Rosh Hashanah is a day of Malchus Shamayim. And you think about Rachmana Litzlan, the matziv of Malchus Shamayim, in the overwhelming majority of the world, the bezoyin of Malchus Shamayim, it's painful. If a person feels for Borei Olam, how could he think about himself? Even if he's thinking about Chet and Tshuva, but is that the time? What about the Galei Kvoid Malchusa? What about the horrible Chil Hashem that's rampant in most of the world? He says, now is a time that you have to focus on the Rebbeinu Shalom. He quotes the famous Zoya to say, Hav is a terrible Chil Hashem. The Rebbeinu Shalom needs so much Kvoid Shemayim and you're worrying about yourself? But listen to what he says. But don't worry. He says, this avoid of Rosh Hashanah is the avoid of Ani l'doidi v'doidi li. If you're focused on the doidi, on the Rebbeinu Shalom, the Rebbeinu Shalom bleibt l'shuldig. V'doidi li. The Rebbeinu Shalom will take care of you. If you're so neman that you put yourself to the side and only think of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'doidi li. And then he says something, you have to be going to say this, and that's the Gemara, Hamispal al Chaveroi, Hu nen etchila. If you daven Malchus Shamayim v'simlaich l'molaich v'yasluchulam, Hu nen etchila. When I first saw it, I was shocked. You say Hamispal al Chaveroi on Borei Olam? But why not? Ani l'doidi is also Chaveroi. If a Yid has these days, Ani l'doidi v'doidi li, that's the Avodas Hayoim. To turn Pachad into B'tochain, to turn Moira into Simcha, to turn Yom Adin into Yom Tiv, is Ani l'doidi v'doidi li, to steig and harva in Malchus, Zechraynis v'Shayfarais. That's our schus for the Yom Adin, and we should take a bizoicha to aksivach simatoy v'sach shar Yisrael. Amen v'amen.
I'd like to thank Rabbi Smith. We'd also like to thank the entire Olam for coming a whole year, Tovshina and Zayin, to the Shiurim. Everybody should be able to come gesundheit, L'oichem v'shem toiv is Tovshina and Ches, have a ksiv v'chsim toiv and a good geben shiur. Rabbi said we have the Yeshivas Ben Azmanim, entire schedule for the Yeshivas Ben Azmanim. Everybody can take a schedule for Yeshivas Ben Azmanim. No matter which neighborhood you are, Baruch Hashem, there's Shiurim all over the world for the Ign Shei Torah. And we need your sponsorship. Whoever wants us to chaper in the schus of Abotzes HaTorah before the Yom Adin, please call Ign Shei Torah 718-851-8651 or send your donation to Ign Shei Torah to 1438 40th Street, Brooklyn, New York 11218. Tizkar Mitzvahs. Also, Yeshivas Chalamoid for the kids. Please make in your shul Yeshivas Chalamoid. You can call our office and we'll try to help you. Bezos Hashem. Rabchanan Merkash Hamanot Kodesh Baruch Lezaka Sis Yisrael. If you go here, but I'm telling mitzvah. Shnei Manema. Adinoi Chofas Matzitka Yagdo Torah V'Yadeh Kaddish.
He's just saying. I said, you want to finish now? Still on? Give me 2 minutes, guys.
Rabbi say sikum.
Give me 2 minutes. I don't want to keep
The Mikdash ladies, curry, Mikdash? No. So the vinegar is no.
Most places not. But
Most places no.
Second Johnson. Rabbi, so will be a sequel of today's Shir by Smith. I'll just take a few minutes. Whoever wants to leave is free to leave. A good job. I'm keeping it.
Just a summary we learned today. Rosh Hashana is a time for perfection, and we could do it. The Musaf, as we see, is an excellent place to gain that appreciation of the Yom Tov. It's so much of the Ikavodas Hayom that the Poskim say if a person only has time for one tefillah of all Rosh Hashana, it should be the Musaf. Even Noshim, Achayiv, and Musaf. The Mahus of the Musaf is Malchis, Rechonis, and Sheifaros. To the extent that even though there's a mitzvah deraisa of shayfa, but midrabanan, it's also part of Malchis, Zechaynus, and Sheifaros. Malchis were makabel, Malchus Shemayim, Aleinu l'shabeach Adonai Hakol. We feel the schus of being an Eved Hashem. Zechaynus is that there's a din on every machshava diba ma'isa, and the second half of it is our hatzlacha is zikaron toiv lefanecha. The Rebbeinu zikaron after we do tshuva on what we did wrong. Shaifa, bameh b'shaifa. Shaifa accomplishes, enhances Malchus and Zechronos. Shaifa is Malchus in itself. It's the way you coronate a king. Shaifa is also Ma'ayret Tshuva. The Shlo's Kavana is Tkiya, is we were straight. Aveir is brought to Chasham to Misa, but then we have the Tkiya that corrects it. As we added, even a Tkiya Gedoyla, we come out ahead in a certain sense because Naslik is Chuyos. And that's the Pshat HaKaratem es Atzmechem, because the best carbon that a person could do when he changes, when he does tshuva. So a person that hears the shayfa and hears the message, he's a Yodeya Torah, like the Zohar Kodesh says, that's like an Akedas Yitzchak. If a person is not blowing shayfa, he's not focusing on Avodas Hayom, then it's a very bad siman. And as we explained, La'arva Satan is to talk to the Yetzirah within. A person's Yetzirah who's resisting, who's not letting him do what he has to do. And now that we see the Avodas Hayom is Rosh Hashana is Malchus, so now it's very gishmak why it's one chasima. Melech HaKaretz, Mekadosh Yov Yom HaZikaron is really one chasima. It's not two different themes, it's one thought. If a person forgets one word of the Musaf, he said, Akel HaKadosh and Melech HaKadosh is not Yoitza. Because Melech is an integral part of the Avodas Hayom. According to many Shittas, if you left out the word Melech HaKaretz, even though he said Mekadosh Yov, he's not Yoitza, because the Kedushas Hayom is Melech HaKaretz. If someone mixed up the order, he said Zechrenis before Shofar, like the Magen Avraham, he would not be Yoitza. We did see that although the Brisker holds you have to hear every word of Chazaras Hashatz,